Good evening once again, ladies and gentlemen. You are all welcome to the 41st IPA Alumni Lecture Series from wherever you are joining us from this evening. Good morning to you, good afternoon, and good evening. You are all welcome to the 41st Alumni Lecture Series, and we'll be discussing the topic, the future of work in Nigeria, preparing the next generation of engineers for an era of perpetual flux. I want to say upfront here that this is not just about engineers, it's about every profession that is being affected today. We are all in an era of perpetual flux, changes here and there taking place at one time or the other in our various profession. And how do we prepare ourselves? How do we prepare the next generation of leaders that will take over even in our various industries? Yes, engineers are backbone of any economy, but all professions are also affected in this. So please, if you are not an engineer here, I want you to have an open mind to the discussion tonight because it will be definitely relevant. I want to welcome each and every one of you, and I trust that tonight we are going to have meaningful deliberations. While the lectures will be going on, please get your notepad, your jotters, your pen, at least to jot down one or two questions that you may want to bring up for discussion with our guest speaker tonight. Tonight, our guest speaker for the discussion is Engineer Wilson Ena Ofugara, who is the operations manager at Pelage Ventures Limited. And he is from the IPE set 2001/2002. So we trust that tonight he will bring forth from his wealth of experience to share with us how we can navigate these challenges that we face today. Without wasting more time, I want to bring up the chairman of today's occasion to give his opening remarks and to declare the workshop open. While that is going on, please, wherever you are joining us from, I want you to put it in the chat, whether you are joining us from the US, from Nigeria, the city in Nigeria that you are also joining us from. Please, let's put it in the chat. We want to have as much engagement with our audience tonight. So to lead declare the lecture series and to give his opening remark, I have the honor of bringing up Engineer Olutosin Ogumola, FNSC, who is the Industrial Learning and Development Manager at Lafarge Africa PLC, and is the past chairman NSC Ikeja branch. Please, with a hand icon on your portal, please join me as I welcome Engineer Olutosin Ogumola to give his welcome address. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I believe I'm audible enough.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much. So distinguished scholars, respected faculty members, eminent alumni of the Department of Industrial and Production Engineering of the Premier University, University of Ibadan, industry leaders that are on the call, dear students, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to say good evening from where I have joined in Nigeria. It is with profound honor that I welcome you all to the 41st edition of the IPE Alumni Online Lecture Series. And I use this opportunity to commend the Department of Industrial and Production Engineering and, of course, the IPE Alumni Association for their unwavering commitment to the continuous advancement of industry-academia collaboration through this enduring platform. And tonight, in this era that has been defined by rapid technological disruption alongside socio-economic uncertainties and of course, global interconnectedness. The theme of today's lecture, that is the future of work in Nigeria, preparing the next generation of engineers for an era in perpetual flux, could not have come or could not have been more timely and, of course, more consequential. This is an era where Industry 5.0 billows upon us, which shifts focus from purely technological efficiency to collaboration between humans and smart systems, leveraging human creativity alongside robotic, precision. So it's an era of radical change. But then engineering by its very nature responds to change. Yet the speed and complexity of change confronting us today demands a deliberate rethinking of how we educate, mentor, and position future professionals. The contemporary engineer must be someone, that is more than a problem solver. He or she must be a system thinker, an ethical leader, an innovator, and a lifelong learner. So universities, professional bodies, industry partners, and alumni networks, therefore, share a collective responsibility to ensure that our graduates are not only technically proficient, but intellectually agile and, of course, socially responsive. So this lecture series actually stands as a powerful expression of that shared responsibility. And for tonight, Engineer Winston Enna of Fugara, our guest speaker, brings a valuable blend of professional practice, operational leadership, and strategic insight, which uniquely positions him to interrogate the evolving nature of work and its implications for engineering education and professional development. So I'm very confident that this course will stimulate critical reflection and inspire purposeful action among all the participants for tonight. So I will therefore encourage us all to listen attentively, engage thoughtfully, and take away lessons that will inform our academic pursuits for our students, then of course for the rest of us for our professional trajectories, and of course institutional policies. So it is expected that this discourse tonight will leave us all in action, rising from this lecture, to be able to chart new courses for ourselves as professionals across the entire spectrum of the engineering profession, and of course, just like it has been said earlier on, even across every other profession. Knowledge, when shared and applied, becomes a powerful catalyst for national development, and gatherings such as these are vital, to that process. So I once again appreciate the organizers, both the department and of course the alumni network, for the honor of inviting me to serve as chairman of this lecture. And I wish us all a stimulating, enriching, and impactful session. And on that note, it is my honor to declare the lecture open. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, Engineer Olutosin, for that opening remarks. And thank you for your wealth of knowledge and for all you do also for the engineering profession. Moving on, tonight, I have the honor and privilege of bringing up our special guest of honor to give his goodwill message. Talking about preparing the next generation of engineers, I have the privilege of working for our special guest of honor tonight. At one time when I was a student, talking about bringing young engineers under your wings or giving them opportunity. I'm not too sure, this is over 20 years, whether Emeritus Professor Awal still remembers me. I just finished my 6 months internship in a computer engineering firm, and somebody introduced me, was then the HOD of Food Technology University of Ibadan. somebody introduced me to him to help them fix their computers in the department. And of course, he gave me that privilege, and thank God I didn't disappoint myself. And he was able to, was like a form of encouragement to a young a student that is also trying to make ends meet, and just a way of encouraging, not looking at, okay, he's a student, let me give this job to somebody outside. But thank God he was able to do that for me then. So tonight I have the honor and privilege of bringing up as our special guest of honor for tonight Emeritus Professor O.C. Awo is the past president of International Academy of Food Science and Technology. Ladies and gentlemen, please join your hands together wherever you are and help me welcome this father of one of our fathers in the Faculty of Technology, who is now a Professor Emeritus. Please join me as I welcome Professor Emeritus O.C. Awo to give his goodwill message. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. That was an introduction that I did not really expect. It's great to be here. And let me start first by expressing profound gratitude to Professor Victor Oladokun, head of the Department of Industrial and Production Engineering, University of Ibadan, and all those involved in organizing this very important lecture for the singular honor of special guest of honor at this event. I also congratulate Engineer Winston Ofugara, a distinguished alumnus of the department, for his well-deserved preferment and the honor to give the lecture. We are in a knowledge-driven world, but regrettably, we are yet to fully grasp this as a nation as we continue to rely on crude oil and our natural resources while neglecting our huge human resources and latent intellectual capital. I'm sure that this lecture will bring valuable insights into transforming engineering education in Nigeria to enhance national productivity and competitiveness. What skills must our engineering graduates have in an era driven by artificial intelligence, big data, automation, digital manufacturing, etc.? Acquiring the requisite skills will require substantial investment that we must be prepared to make as a nation if we are to be a major player in a knowledge-driven world. I truly hope that the outcomes of this lecture will reach those in authority for the benefit of the Nigerian society. So I hope it's not just going to be one of those lectures, because I'm positive that the outcomes will be very, very useful. But that in one way or the other, we will be able to bring this to the attention of those that matter. I also wish to congratulate the Department of Industrial and Production Engineering for sustaining this most important discourse and for promoting industry-academia partnership that is not only mutually beneficial to both in industry and academia, but actually synergistic, strong industry-university partnerships provide huge benefits to universities, including financial support for the teaching, research, and community service missions of universities, broadening and enriching the experience of staff and students, increasing employment opportunities for students, assisting in identifying significant relevant problems that can be addressed through research, promoting commercialization of research findings, and enhancing the contribution of universities to economic development. Regrettably, industry-university partnership is very weak in Nigeria, constraining research and the commercialization of research findings. The consequence is that, for the most part, research findings remain on the shelf and are not translated to products and services that benefit the society. Again, let me heartily congratulate the Department of Industrial and Production Engineering and congratulate our distinguished lecturer as we listen to this important lecture. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you once again for that insightful opening goodwill message. And I want to say that kudos to the Department of Industrial Engineering for bringing up this initiative. It's, for me, it's a way of also encouraging our lecturers, our teachers, that the things they've taught us, we are putting them to use. This is the 41st edition, and if you go to our YouTube channel and you look at, each of the topics that have been taken by our alumni, you will know that it's been a very, very, very rich discussion that is geared towards shaping this nation for the better. And I want to encourage each one of us to please go back, follow us on our YouTube channel. Just search for IPA, you will see our YouTube channel. Please follow us, and so that you get notified every time we're having this lecture series like that. And I wanted to assure you that we are fostering, better, relationship with the larger society, and with the curriculum reviews upon reviews that is taking place. I want to assure you that our students are getting better. One of the things that I want to say at this, before I bring up our special guest of honor, that the Department of Industrial Engineering has been doing is also to engage our students with good practical skills. The department now has a fashion lab where students partake in fashion designing, coming up with design, the system maintenance, inventory, trying to affect the fashion world out there. And I believe that is a good step in the right direction to bring some of the things, some of the researches that are being done in the forwards of the university to the world out there. So without wasting more time, I want to bring up our next guest of honor. Is also a distinguished fellow. Is the Director of Physical Planning and Project Management, University of Ibadan. He is from the Civil Engineering Department of University of Ibadan, and one time the head of department also. Please, ladies and gentlemen, join me as I welcome Professor B.I.O. Downsi to give his goodwill message.
Yes, good evening. It gives me a great pleasure to be part of this discourse. I also wish to congratulate the Department of Industrial and Production Engineering for this trailblazing set of lectures that they have put in place. I've tried to look at some of the past lectures, and I see that all of them have been on very topical issues that has to do with development. The country at present is at a crossroad in our development, and our students, in some cases, feel a bit frustrated, especially in situations where there's no ready work out there, unlike in the previous decades, where even before you graduate from the university, work is already waiting for you. In fact, in some cases, what will determine the kind of place you want to work is that whether one is offering you B2 and the other is offering you Passat, or maybe it's the Pojo that the other company is offering. Those are the kind of things you think of. It's given that a job is waiting. But in recent years, that has not been the case. And the world is evolving, and we also have to evolve with the development in the world. We have to prepare our students too to be able to fit into the world that they are going. There are some of my colleagues that believe that whatever you want to do, you have to start from the first principle. That is only when you start from the first principle that you have a good grasp of what you are doing. Also, out there, nobody draws with hand, but in several instances, we still lay emphasis on teaching the students to draw with pens and pencils. A lot of you know, apps and models are available out there that you can use, you know, to do your work, which means the training must also catch up with what is happening out there. And this gives a big challenge to the university, especially in the area of curriculum development. And that is where the industry comes in. They have to be involved. They can't afford to be lethargic. They have to be involved in several aspects of what we do. Now, the industry holds the academia the responsibility of assisting in training, involvement in the development of curriculum to reflect, you know, industry needs, and also projection for the future through innovation and also openings for internship. The kind of workplace that we would have in the future is flexible, it's tech-enabled, and is also defined by hybrid models. There's AI integration, a focus on human experience. It blends physical offices with virtual environments, including virtual reality and augmented reality, to support a decentralized 24/7 workforce. So this is kind of environment that our students are going into, and therefore their training must be such that prepares them for this kind of environment. In fact, the kind of, you know, meeting that we are presently having, you know, boomed during the COVID era. Prior to that, it wasn't as commonplace as it is now. That is why it shows that the society also evolved with what is needed. Well, I don't want to start a lecture within a lecture, so I would want to stop at this point and congratulate the department, and especially appreciate the efforts of the current head of the department, Professor Victor Oladokun. Well, they say sky is no more the limit. So I don't believe you are there yet. There's still room to still go higher. Congratulations and God bless. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sal, for your goodwill message. It's very, very enriching, and it's something that I believe each and every one of us should have as a food for thought. Of course, it's not just about curriculum reviews and all that we need to work on. It's one of the things that struck me about this discussion tonight, without preempting what the guest speaker will say, is that preparing the future, the next generation of engineers. And where I work at the Industrial Training Coordinating Center, when I joined, was a learning curve for me. Of course, when you join a new system, you have to go through a learning curve. And my boss of blessed memory, Engineer T.O.Y. Omotosho, I remember there was a time I went to him that, okay, a student brought a particular industry or company that he wants to do his CWES in. And he said, no, that this kind of place cannot train an engineer. And that has stuck with me. And today that I work in the Industrial Training Coordinating Center, a lot of times when students want to go on CWES, they bring funny places that are, they are looking for places that are convenient for them. But there's a difference when you are being trained by a senior engineer. I can tell you for a fact from my own work experience that there's a difference when you are being trained by an engineer. Even when I did my own CWES, the person I trained on that was an engineer, electrical engineer that delved into computing. And this goes to all professions. Today at the Industrial Training Coordinating Center, for example, where we also post students, because we also serve it as a way of bridging the gap between theory and practice. One of the things we also emphasize is the quality of places where our students go for their CWES. No matter whether it's engineering, it's computing, it's I've turned down a lot of students in this our current placement exercise. That how can you say you're a computer science student, for example, you want to go to a company and they say they are training you on web development or web software development. They themselves don't even have a website. So you cannot be dishing out what you don't have. You cannot give what you don't have. So these are things that I want us also to consider. I believe we are engineers here and more, that to begin to also look at, taking young engineers under our wings to train and expose them to what is changing in the world they are also coming out to meet. So thank you for your goodwill message once again, Professor BIO Downsey. Going further right now, I want to bring up a colleague of our guest speaker tonight to read his citation. And I have the honor and privilege of bringing up Engineer Kelechi to do Engineer Kelechi Okoro to do us that honor. Engineer Kelechi Okoro, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. It's my pleasure and honor to introduce Enna Wilson Ofugara, a senior operations and platform executive whose work spans over 2 decades. Across regulated digital platform, fintech, gaming operations,
and enterprise systems in Nigeria and in the United States. Engineer Ofugara's professional career sits at the intersection of technology, governance, and enterprise development, with a particular focus on designing and executing scalable systems within complex regulatory environments. He is an accomplished management consultant and a systems analyst with extensive experience in business identification, startup formation, and the articulation and execution of growth strategies across multiple sectors. His work has involved higher-level relationship management, deal origination, and the project execution in both private and the public sector context. Early in his career, he participated as a technical officer in Nigeria's Bureau of Public Enterprise Privatization Program, where his team secured the winning bid for the Ethiopian Pulp and the Paper Company. He later contributed to financial sector reform through collaboration with Fidelity Bank and the Central Bank of Nigeria in operationalizing the microfinance guideline. Of 2007. During his tenure as head of SME and the retail businesses, at the executive level, Enna Ofugara has led the development and the implementation of institutional management systems that has delivered measurable physical outcomes. Notably, as a C-level officer, he designed a solution that streamlined the operations of a government ministry, increasing internally generated revenue from approximately 300 million naira annually to over 2 billion naira within its first 6 months, an achievement that remains the benchmark for internal generated revenue performance within that state. Enna Ofugara currently serves as Chief Executive Officer at Pelage Ventures Limited, where he oversees government contract execution, and as Vice President for Culture and Strategy at Elite Support Strategic Services in the United States, where he is responsible for organizing growth and the regulatory compliance across the company's distributed operation. He is also leading the launch of ERP SaaS platform designed to acquire customers, reduce service bottleneck, shorten transaction cycle, enhance managerial decision making through granular data interpretation, and improve overall customer experience and retention. Enna holds a master's degree in industrial engineering from the University of Ibadan. He is a current registered engineer and has recently expanded his technical expertise through advanced training in software engineering and data analytics. Enna Ofugara is a member of several professional bodies, including the American Society of Manufacturing Engineers, the Association for the Advancement of Cost Engineering, the National Society of Black Engineers, and Nigerian Institute of Mechanical Engineers. Drawing on deep technical expertise and a keen understanding of market dynamics, Enna Ofugara continues to deliver impactful solutions that drive growth, efficiency, and the long-term institutional value. Please join me in welcoming Engineer Winston Enna Ofugara. Thank you.
Thank you, Engineer Kelechi.
Thank you, Kelechi. And thank you, everyone.
Over to you, sir.
Thank you, everyone, for having me today. Thank you again, everyone. Indeed, we live in very interesting times, so much so that people everywhere are asking questions. With the speed of technological development, would I be left behind? Would my job go into obsolescence? And then at some other quarters, some people are asking, if I can make money through streaming or reach millions of customers via social media, the social media channels, what is the point of going to school to obtain a degree? Are certificates or certification programs taking over degree programs? These are serious questions that everyone is asking. And like our guests, our special guest of honor and the guest of honor, and even the chairman have expressed, there is a strong need to prepare Nigeria and the future engineers in Nigeria for what is currently happening and what will continue to happen, because the changes we're experiencing today are not stopping anytime soon. So these questions, and in attempting to answer the questions, we would look very quickly at why now, why this conversation now, and then we will look at what is next for the environment, Nigeria, and what is technology doing as we go along. Finally, we would find out how we can win given the realities that face us. What action plan can we implement to win? But before we dive into all that, can we just play Guess the Company? Everybody likes to win. So here's what. I have a little token for the winner. I will give you some clues about this company, and I want you to guess the company. So on the comment section, just type the name of the company if you know it. This company has been turning creative ideas into breakthroughs for over a century. They invented grammar checkers. They invented electronic dictionaries in 1985. They invented a laptop word processor. They started building the personal digital assistants in 1994. I hope I'm being heard. Is everyone hearing me?
Can you just go over it a bit?
you.
We lost you for like a minute or so.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Damn. I said we are trying to guess the name of the company. And I need you, if you know this company, that have turned creative ideas into breakthrough for over a century. They invented the grammar checkers. They invented electronic dictionaries. They invented laptop word processor. And they started building the PDA, Personal Digital Assistant, in 1994. In the comment section, if you can just drop the name of the company for us to see. I guess you have lost me again. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Loud
can
and
hear
clear,
you.
sir.
Yes, we can hear you. I hear
Okay.
you.
Okay, I see IBM, I see Microsoft, I see publisher, I don't know what that is. Okay, let me help us. Let us go quickly so I keep my token to myself. What's happening with this thing? This thing is stuck. My system is hanging, I don't know.
Quickly close the app, your PowerPoint and relaunch it again and try to reshare.
Okay, sorry about that. I guess we can see the screen now, right? Okay, so for
Yes, sir.
our little survey, we did not get the company, but the company is actually a typewriting producing company. They were the best typewriter producing company at some point in the history of the world. And this company is called Smith Corona. The question is, Smith Corona was the best typewriter company, producing company in the world for 100 years. In fact, they were so good with innovation that on their website, they claimed that on the 8th day, God created Smith Corona. I don't know if that is being arrogant, but over a 100-year time span, they invented the first typewriter with the upper and lower case, the first portable typewriter, portable electric typewriter, powered cartridge return, first removable cartridge, first word eraser, first electric dictionary and personal word processor, first laptop personal word processor. This company was just top notch. Question is, where are they today? Why is Smith Corona not one of those players in the computer space like Acer or IBM, what do you call it, HP, and the rest? Smith Corona actually discovered that the computer was happening, computer was the next big thing, and they entered into a partnership with Acer. But after 1 year, they shut down the partnership. And when the CEO was asked, this was his response. Many people believe that the typewriter and the word processor business is an obsolete industry, which is far from true. There is still a strong market for our products in the United States. The actual word he used was a buggy whip industry. Buggy whip is the horse whip, you know, that was used to propel horses during the era of the horse carriage. You know, when the Ford motor car came, the buggy whip became like an idiom indicating obsolescence. So he was saying people believe that the business was obsolete, but it was far from the truth. The mindset he had led him to pull out of a relationship that would have made them relevant even till this day. Situational framing determines the outcome of creative process. Situational framing determines the outcome of our creative process. The way G. Lee Thompson and his team framed the situation of the world at the time showed to them that the typewriter at that time, the Smith Corona had over $500 million in profits. They were doing very well, but they wrongly framed their situation. And as such, they missed out. Now, let us quickly look at this set of companies: Disney, CNN, Hyatt, Burger King, FedEx, Microsoft, Apple, Texas Instruments, 20th Century Fox, Gillette, AT&T, IBM, on the screen. Each of these businesses were founded in periods of economic recession. Crisis creates opportunities. So rather than being afraid of crisis when they happen, we should think of the opportunities that they create. How we frame our situation will determine the creative process that will follow and what will happen next. When we think differently, when we act differently, we identify new opportunities. So being afraid of crisis when they happen is not the way forward. The way forward is how we frame our situation. Now, over time, I just want to show us a few things that have been toppled in the world, things that were status quo, that were normal, but technology came and they were toppled. Examples include broadcast TV, viral videos have taken over, newspapers, blogs, brick and mortar stores, e-commerce, libraries, Wikipedia, America, China, men, women. We see today more women are taking places that used to be statutorily held by men. Degrees, certificates, well, it's still a question mark. Taking over from degrees. You can add your list here, but the discussion goes on. So quickly, let us now ask ourselves, why now? Why must we have this conversation now? In the 20s, one Russian economist, Nikolai Kondratyev, discovered the K-wave theory, or the long wave theory, as it is now known today. After taking data, historical data of 150 years, data of commodity prices, interest rates, and trade figures, and he discovered that economies do not grow linearly, but in long 40 to 60-year cycles, consisting of periods of high and low growth. He further discovered that during the downward growth, during the downward trend, or depression or recession, as you would want to call it, a large number of technological discoveries and innovations are usually made. These discoveries, these technological discoveries and innovations go on to lead to create prosperity in the next cycle. And then there will be another depression, and then there will be a new technology, and so on. So the cycle just goes up and down sinusoidally, continuously. So we find that during a global panic, the steam engine was discovered, railway and steel was discovered, electrification and chemicals, and so on. What we see in our day and time is that there was a global pandemic in 2020. Post 2020, we now see the upsurge of AI and everything that AI can do and everything that AI is enabling. Now, whenever there is a technological change, whenever there's a technological innovation, what tends to happen is that there is a huge fear, there's a rising fear, and that is the green dotted line we see on the screen. there's an increase in worries and fears of people losing their jobs. Would my job be displaced? Recall the period of how do you call it, the typewriter. When the computer came, those typists who reinvented themselves could use the computer. Because essentially, if you look at the computer, you see that the keyboard of the computer and that of the typewriter, they're one and the same. So what really changed? The innovation was the ability to call up a document, do your job, save it, and retrieve it at a later time, which the typewriter did not offer. And then the speed of doing all of these things on the computer, the typewriter did not offer it. So essentially what happened was that skills moved, but jobs were not lost. Those who reinvented themselves became relevant even in the computer age. So what data has shown over time is that rather than the static system, static period of 30 to 40 years where you can be in, say, a factory floor, working and doing the same job for a 30, 40 year span, over time, skills lifespan began to shrink. And today, what we see from available data is that skills half-life have shrunk to between 5 and 7 years. With AI, we want to believe that it will even shrink further. Now, let's bring that to the educational system. In the period and era where everything was static, where jobs were static, learners were trained to get jobs, stay on that job until you retire. But today, what has happened is that there is a constant review of curricula, modular, offering them modularly, and then lifelong learning. So the educational space of today has moved from fixed curricula, slow review cycles, and credential focused to one that is modular, industry integrated, and with lifelong reskilling. Without this, the educational system may become obsolete. Now, some persons have taken the Kondratiev data and using current available data to basically enhance what the Kondratiev theory. They have shown us that, in very granular detail, when a rise is expected, that's period of prosperity, and when a dip is expected. If we see this, the data, the screen on the screen, we see we're in 2026, and the data shows that in 2026 we're in a period of prosperity, and this is rightly so, because in Nigeria, for instance, the stock market is booming and going to boom some more because a new regulation has mandated the pension fund to increase its contribution from 30% to 35%. The pension fund is over 20 trillion. So you can imagine 5% of that added to what it currently contributes to the stock market. So you see that the stock market is going to have to be very liquid. And then it is pre-election year. Money is going to circulate very soon from the politicians and all that. So this data is quite apt in describing what happens with technological innovation and advancement. But all of these are just additions to the discussion. The main discussion here is that it is technology that drives the changes that we see. Technology is ubiquitous. Technology is everywhere. Now, if you have not been following the World Economic Forum, let me just quickly show us what has been happening. The World Economic Forum has become a barometer of global priorities. The World Economic Forum strategically meets every year in January to discuss the next wave or the next focus of business strategies globally. So they met in 2023, and the discussion was on cooperation in a fragmented world. Recall that prior to this time, we had been shouting global village, but Brexit happened, and all that, and the world began to fragment again. So how can the world come back together to cooperate for growth, and all that? That was the focus in 2023. In 2024, it was on rebuilding trust, restoring fundamental principles of transparency, consistency, and accountability. In 2025, which just ended, if you have not been following, at least you will agree with me because you would obviously have noticed it. They gathered and they discussed collaboration for the intelligent age. And the focus was on AI and technology. You would agree that, yes, the talk of AI had been there, but in 2025, AI shot up, dramatically. Economic growth, geopolitics, sustainability, and human development. In 2026, they just ended, I think, on the 23rd of January here, and the focus was on a spirit of dialogue, cooperation in a more contested world, deploying innovation at scale and responsibly, unlocking new sources of growth, building prosperity within planetary bodies, again, investing in people. Now, if you look at all of this, for all of this to be enabled, technology is required. Technology is everywhere. Technology is not going anywhere. Politics, technology, and climate are the major external factors that have an outsized impact on profitability. So technologists or engineers need not be afraid when there is a new innovation or in whatever trajectory innovation is going. Rather, the thought process will be, how can I reskill myself to be able to remain relevant in the system? And why must we have this conversation? Again, look at the date stamp on the picture with the president, 13th January 2026. The discussion of carbon trading had been on in the 80s. Carbon trading became policy driven after the Kyoto Protocol of 2007. Between 2007 and today, Nigeria is just catching up with a framework approved for carbon trading. Carbon markets are not merely financial systems. They are measurements, verification, performance systems built on engineering data. Without engineers, carbon credits cannot be quantified, validated, reduced, or monetized, which is the whole essence of carbon trading. Now, before we begin to ask ourselves questions, what is this man saying? This lecture is not about lamentation. It is about the redesign of an obviously failing system. What we see on the screen here now are the various things that nature has blessed Africa and Nigeria with. All of the resources in their natural raw form that the continent has been blessed with. But most of Africa favors extracting resources over conversion to end-use value through enterprise development. When Nigeria, if we see everything that we see on the screen, from renewable energy to tourism to agriculture, platinum, and so on and so forth, engineers are required in the entire process to convert these raw materials into useful value for society. But engineers in our continent and in Nigeria have not been trained and equipped to do all of this. So over time, we have looked elsewhere for help and solution. And in doing that, we have been outsourcing jobs. Today, the industry, businesses recruit based on skills, not degrees. We see things like jobs you can do remotely without a degree. So you take a course for 3 months, 6 months, maybe 18 months in some instances, and you are qualified to work. The industry takes the rest. You are trained on the job. Because of the Internet of Things and all of the advantages that the fourth industrial revolution has brought, we find an increase in threats. So companies that are constantly facing these threats need immediate solutions to prevent or to address those threats if and when they occur. The university degree is considered to take too long in achieving, and by the time you achieve it, the technology itself might have moved on and your knowledge has become obsolete. The cost involved too is also considered. Now, this year marks the year where a generation that grew up entirely in the digital era reaches intellectual and emotional maturity. So if you have not already seen this set of children or people in your classrooms, beginning from this year, you'll begin to see them. These people have in some instances been called the Indomie generation or the microwave generation. They want everything fast. They want everything done now. They want everything done with ease. Back in the day, sages usually take time in silence contemplation and meditation, with sacrifices and pain to come up with wisdom that they advanced to society. But today, what this generation wants is quick on the go. In fact, recently, a US professor took an early retirement. And when he was asked why, he said, look, people still ask the fundamental questions, but they want the answers in tweet format. So what we'll see beginning from this 2026 and going forward is that men with wisdom will begin to fade out of the system because they cannot catch up. Because what they did to get to where they are and to obtain the knowledge and wisdom they have, the system is doing it or producing it as such short time span. In fact, I recall when I started work, it would take me between 3 and 6 weeks to articulate a proper bankable business plan. Today, what took me 3 to 6 weeks to achieve back in the day, I have actually been able to achieve it in 3 hours. That is what AI has enabled. That is the reality of today. So these kinds of children, how do we educate them? How do we empower them? Particularly when they have access to tools that enable them to make money on the go. What then is the relevance of a 4, 5, 6, 7-year degree? Coren recently commissioned an 8-man committee to investigate engineering practice in Nigeria. Although the report I saw may have been an abridged version, I'm not sure, but it was not very detailed how they achieved what they achieved and all. But the conclusion was that consulting, construction, manufacturing, and production are the main areas Nigerian engineers practice their engineering. So what is happening to chemical and mineral resources engineering? What is happening to aerospace and aeronautical engineering? What is happening to medical, biomedical engineering, systems engineering, marine engineering, and all that? In fact, the NSC, the immediate past NSC convention was discussing blue economy. Where are the engineers that would create opportunities in the blue economy? So let us agree that Nigeria is a crisis situation. If Nigeria is a crisis situation, what it then means is that Nigeria has a lot of opportunities. If we think differently, if we reframe our condition, our situation differently, we just might have the right tools, the right strategy, to turn the crisis into profitable opportunities. Nigeria has a huge population. It has been projected that up to 2050, some say 2073, the median age will remain at 18 years. 3.5 million people join the labor market every year. But in all of this, and ICT still drives growth, but in all of this, there's a dangerous gap that exists between workforce supply and industry demand. In fact, current NSC conducted a survey, and employer said the skills that they require, the engineers do not have them. I have worked at several places or consulted in several places where they bring in Indians and they bring in foreigners, expatriates, to do jobs that hitherto engineers in Nigeria should, be doing. So how can we have high unemployment and high skills shortage at the same time? We do not have a labor problem. What we have is a systems problem, because the system we have does not convert knowledge, to value. And what we currently have is our educational system is still based on legacy curricula, theory without translation, and capital isolation. So like the special guest of honor mentioned and observed, research outputs lack clear commercialization pathways, no investors, no pilot environments, no de-risking mechanisms for prototypes. All of these are what we need to drill down on and create an environment that would lead to change. So in summary, for this session, life, skills half-life is shrinking. Today we observe it to be between 5 to 7 years. Reskilling becomes very necessary, without which one would go into obsolescence. There's a persistent skills mismatch, meaning only deep cross-sector dialogue can align educational supply with market demand. As has been observed in this discussion, without a cross-section dialogue between industry and academia, with the participation of learners, the supply gap will continue, to widen. This is because businesses experience changes or disruption first. So, and then academia reacts later with an integration through alumni of business and academia, with alumni feeding business with real-time, feeding academia rather, with real-time information. Academia would be better positioned and advised to rejig its curricula, for the upcoming possibilities and realities. So Nigeria does not suffer from a shortage of ideas. Nigeria suffers from a shortage of systems that convert ideas into value. These are just summary, putting together what we have discussed. The future of work is no longer stable or linear or predictable. Engineering education is being reinvented globally. In fact, I'm a member of the American Society of Manufacturing Engineers, and early this year, sometime in January, they sent a survey asking how mechanical engineering should be taught going forward so that they can remain relevant. Now, this is already happening out there, but I don't know. I believe that we have not started any such thing, or maybe the academia is still doing it in isolation. The discussion and the call today is we need to blow this up and involve everyone in the discussion. Nigeria must urgently redesign how we train, deploy, and reward engineers. Alumni, industry, and academia must co-own this transformation. Now, let us discuss what is next. AI and automation. Everybody is talking about AI, although very few people now understand what AI is all about. But to drive the point home here, AI simply uses algorithms to make decisions. Engineers understand this. We know algorithms. We know how they work. But all of what we have been doing were manually done. Today, AI has been enabled with the capacity to access data from almost anywhere in real time and in such a short space of time. Now, let me ask you this. Is there anyone here who has, at one point in time, you just thought of something? You didn't say anything to anybody. You didn't do a research. You didn't Google it up. You just thought of it. And then 2-3 days down the line, you begin to see things related to that thought of yours appear on your feed. For instance, let's say, okay, I need to buy a ticket to go to Abuja. And then in 2-3 days time, you begin to see cheap flights to Abuja, promotion on tickets to Abuja and things like that. I want to believe that there is at least one person here who has experienced or noticed this thing. That is the reality of what AI is today and what AI will do going forward. In fact, the time will come when AI will tell you that, look, from analysis made, you need to leave your current situation, your current partner, or you need to move from Lagos to Abuja, because the analysis shows that the skills you have will be more useful in Abuja than in Lagos. Those are the kinds of things that AI will do, in fact, before 2030. AI helps the engineer to generate designs. If an engineer is able to articulate the goal of whatever he is developing and the constraints adequately, AI will do the rest for you. All you need to do is to use your experience as an engineer to judge and pick which of the solutions that you want to run with. But all of those things that you used to spend time to do, AI has taken over from them. So the skilling system now would be how to prompt AI. In fact, the industry calls it prompt engineering. Prompt engineering has now become a job role. Companies today employ prompt engineers because you need to give AI the correct information. As we say, garbage in, garbage out. You need to give AI the correct information to give you the correct output. Otherwise, it will be garbage in, garbage out. And that's why they advise that AI might be wrong at times. Back in the day, someone said to me that engineers don't make mistakes, but their assumptions might be wrong. It is the same thing with AI today. AI will make mistakes if you give it the wrong prompting. But if you prompt it adequately, you would get a good outcome as well. The Internet of Things convergence, robotics, operations technology in particular, have been merged or integrated with information technology. So much so that you can be anywhere in the world and run a factory. With live feeds, you are seeing the shop floor, you are seeing your workers do things, you're seeing the machines run. And maybe you are in India or you are in China, you're somewhere else. You see everything happening and you are getting live data. This didn't used to happen. The skill here, the skill required would be, how do you interpret those data? How do you use those data to make decisions to continue to run your factory? So factories have become smart. Nearshoring is another thing that is open, to engineers at this time. Nearshoring is, imagine a situation where a Brazilian company has a huge market in West Africa, for instance. And through AI analysis, they are able to determine the volume of their product that will be consumed in West Africa within a period of time. By the time they do all of that against the cost of shipping and all, if it shows that it is cheaper to locate the factory in, say, Nigeria to serve West Africa, they will do that. They'll move the factory, to Nigeria to serve West Africa. We see that currently happening elsewhere, but not in Africa, not in Nigeria. US companies have positioned themselves in Sri Lanka, in Malaysia, and all that. They produce cheaply and ship back to their American market. If engineers do not make this happen, it will never happen. Engineers need to know that these are possibilities and then prompt companies to come and set up locally, so as to build local jobs while offering the products to the local market. In fact, there is a company in this in Nigeria that takes agricultural products. Their philosophy is Nigerians don't like locally produced things. So they take agricultural products from Nigeria to their country, package them, and send them back into Nigeria. And we rush and buy them. In Nigeria, the engineering profession needs to rise, to this reality to solve all of these problems. Data privacy, renewable energy, and the integration, grid modernization, and all that are opportunities that are open for engineers in the foreseeable future. So why engineers must understand this is that engineers in manufacturing, industrial, and systems role now work in the intersection of logistics engineering, data analytics, automation systems, digital platforms, and operational optimization. So supply chain engineering, for instance, is no longer about warehouses. It has now become about algorithms, sensors, automation, and strategic location. Once we realize this in whatever space we play in, even as academia, that everything is now driven by algorithms, sensors, automation, and all that, we then need to begin to reframe our situation. That way, the opportunities that are available to us will be able to trap them. Now, the engineering space across board has 4 layers. With nations where we have seen success stories, has 4 layers. Fortunately, in Africa, Nigeria, we operate at layer 1, maximum layer 2. But at layer 4, layer 1 is just basically your mathematics, dexterity, or rigor in mathematics, physics, systems thinking, coding, and all that. And then industry-aligned labs. Even these industry-aligned labs are not adequately managed because from Engineer Padari's talk earlier, I want to believe that the old CWES system is different from what it was like when I was in school. But again, the integration of engineers to society, to companies, to businesses, where they need to have hands-on experience is still grossly lacking. Structured co-ops, internships, and real operations make up the 3rd layer. And that is where we need to begin to play at. And then, of course, commercialization, intellectual property protection, startups, deployment, scaling, and market entry. All of these things are skills in themselves. Having the knowledge to be able to do all of these things are skills in themselves. What has happened in very successful businesses, you find that the originator of the business idea, not having certain other knowledge, brings in a partner who has those knowledge and capabilities, and together they found their businesses. It happened with the case of Apple, it happened with the case of Microsoft, and so on and so forth. Most of these people were schoolmates. The educational system needs to enable these things, to happen going forward. So what is the kind of engineer that we propose for the future? Not one that is focused on mechanical engineering or electrical engineering or civil engineering or chemical engineering or whatever field of engineering, but one that has, yes, all of those, which is technical depth and digital fluency, systems integration, innovation and entrepreneurship, ethical and social reasoning, and lifelong learning. So we propose here a T-shaped engineer. Now, at the end of the T, you have the digital fluency. In fact, let me take a minute or two to talk about ethical and social reasoning. Engineering, like medicine, law, and which other field? Even accountancy. These fields all require apprenticeship. You graduate from the university as a lawyer, you are required to go to law school for 1 year, where you learn under the simulated environment of the real world that you will practice as a lawyer. The same with medicine. You graduate from medical school, you're sent to do housemanship in a real hospital under older doctors. So you learn, you have firsthand knowledge, information, and experience before you're thrown into the world, to cope on your own. But engineering, as we have it, outside of whatever experience we can gather from CWES, there is nothing else. You graduate and you're expected to perform in the industry. So what has happened in the Nigerian situation is that many of us got out there and we found out that there are no engineering roles, but there are a lot of consulting roles. So we go into consulting and then we go and do ICANN or ACCA or CFA, as the case might be. And then you gradually move from the core engineering into finance and economics. That is the reality. So for us to be able to navigate from where we are into core engineering practice that will transform natural resources into their useful form, we need to develop engineers that have technical depth, digital fluency, systems integration, innovation and entrepreneurship, ethical and social reasoning, and lifelong learning. If you register with Coren, they give you code of ethics, 1-page code of ethics, and that is just it. There is no program, to the best of my knowledge, that spends time to teach ethics of what are the ethical requirements of the engineering practice. If you look at Canada, for instance, I think it was in the 18th century or so, a bridge was being constructed and the bridge collapsed twice, both instances killing several people. The Canadian system then decided to introduce ethics in the profession. Today, when you graduate in engineering in Canada, you are given a ring. After you take your oath, you're given a ring, which is a symbol of dexterity, of professionalism, and of your desire to ethically practice your profession. It is rumored that it was the beams that collapsed at that bridge that was being constructed that they took and smelted and are now using to construct those rings. So for you to have that ring, you're basically showing the world that you are ethical and you will be professional and knowledgeable in the delivery of your job. What do we find in Nigeria? We find people who are current registered, who will give their current stamp to contractors for a fee. Meanwhile, the industry requires that an engineer, a professional, is on this project and will supervise this project to its completion so that this project is properly done end to end. The engineer is consulted just for his stamp, not for his intellectual input. These are things that we need to strongly look at and transform. Now let us look at a few cases of where engineering has succeeded and are succeeding at a huge scale. MIT, USA, Waterloo in Canada, and Technion in Israel. Now for MIT, their philosophy is mind and hand. So these two must go together. I remember back in the day, Dr. Jeje, mechanical engineering, will tell us that get your minds organized and your hands dirty. And that is the philosophy that MIT operates with. MIT alumni generates over $2 trillion in revenue annually. Now, what do? The faculty is rewarded for commercialization, not just papers. I think in Nigeria, the only way we advance our lecturers through the number of papers or the quality of papers that they publish, I believe. They have the Dashpan Center for Technological Innovation. They have the university operates as a startup factory, very key. Industrial liaison program, technology transfer office. They have a pure technology transfer office. Industry co-funds research directly. And the pedagogy is build, fail, iterate. In the industry today, in civilized climes, you are allowed to innovate and you are allowed to fail. In our climb, if you fail, you are seen as someone to be thrown to the back. But failure creates success, because when you fail, as Edison said, I have learned 1,000 ways not to do the same thing. And eventually he succeeded. So build, fail, and iterate. Now, Waterloo in Canada has over 7,000 employer partners. That is huge. So they have the relationship where engineers in training can go to an employer partner and be trained on the job. Mandatory industry immersion for all engineers. Work experience counts as graded learning. We'll see this advantage very shortly. So graduates are work ready from day one, because it is not just all theory, but theory mixed with actual industry practice. The same thing they will be doing when they are done with school. They start doing it while in school. In Israel, of course, Israel as a country is known as a startup nation engine, because they have the highest startup density per capita in the world. Now, they are number one exporter of high-tech, they are number one exporter of technology, and high-tech dominates their GDP. Their philosophy is that engineering is a national infrastructure. Tight alignment with academia, industry, and the state. Now, it's easy for me to present this to us here because I see the possibilities in Nigeria. We only do not have the people to drive them yet. I'm hoping that after this, we will jump on the wagon and make things happen. Because of all these industries or the academic space, of all the professions, engineers and NSC stands tall. In their convention every year, they are able to bring the president. Of course, even if the president does not attend in person, he always sends a delegation. So it is possible. If these discussions are well channeled, it will get to the right sources, and then changes will begin to happen. Let's not play small going forward. Let's treat engineering as economic infrastructure, not just schooling. So let's deal with the question that everyone is asking. We have said all of this. Now, how do we win? Allow me to propose something here. I am not in the education space, so these are proposals that if all the necessary bodies come together and further discuss and drill down, I want to believe that the outcome would be what we all expect. So I propose today the pedagogical engineering. And what does it entail? Apply process science, system science, and the pedagogy itself, which is understanding how things change, understand how elements interact, and then understand how people learn. Now, when I did that survey, I believe we heard, because someone said I faded up for a while, but I want to believe that when I showed you how the typewriter business of Smith Corona failed, and Smith Corona did not pivot into the computer age and into the computer business, making them obsolete and not relevant today. We see how decisions we saw then how decisions are made. If you do not understand how things change, you are likely going to make a wrong decision. But having an understanding of how things change, when they change, and understand how elements interact to make this change happen, we will be able to train our engineers properly. Now, the next generation of learners, as I said earlier, want things done fast and differently. So we must meet them at that point. Otherwise, we will lose them, because technology has made it possible for them to make money without degrees, without even certificates. I mean, go to Big Brother and tell the world your life history and expose all of your body. And after 90 days, you are given millions of naira and SUV and contracts and all that. But we know that these things are not sustainable. By the time they finish spending the money and there is no new sign-up deals and all that, what happens? Fame and everything goes, down the drain. But hard work, persistence, and consistency would definitely lead to sustainable wealth. I propose further a transformation here. What we call general studies, can we reflect on it and possibly transform it into professional foundations that would lead to core competencies like self-awareness, entrepreneurship, problem solving, teamwork, empathy, and critical thinking? I tell you, in the industry today, these things listed here form the basis outside of the skills. When we see that, okay, you have the skill, you can deliver on this job. Are you empathetic? Are you a team player? Do you think critically? Do you have attention? Do you pay attention to details? Can you solve problems without prompting? And all of this, they form what finally leads to a decision to hire or not to hire. Now, if our people are trained and are ready with these things, they can actually begin to earn money while in school. Because showing with a certificate, or if there is another means of making it obvious that they have gone through this training and all that, they can actually get jobs even while in school. We have seen all that happen. The fourth industrial revolution problems are complex. They are dynamic and they are interconnected. Thus, they require human and technical skills simultaneously. So let us not think that the fourth industrial revolution and the AI talk and all that is about losing jobs, and all that. Pedagogical engineering offers a transdisciplinary practice where students are dynamic participants and teaching is the engineering of conditions for transformation. If we assume the students as they come into school as raw and, we assume them to be in their raw form that needs transformation. And as they go through the system, they come out transformed, refined, and ready for work. If we see the learners in that direction, I believe it will also help in how we formulate our curricula. So 2 things we have proposed here, and so much more, which I believe with time we will jump into. I believe the management or the engagement team of IPEA will look at this in detail. But I just want to point out two or three of my proposals here. And one is redesign sewers in line of pressing national problems. I was so excited when Engineer Padari mentioned how his boss, handled an issue. So it tells us that the thought process is already there. There has to be a link between what the learner is meant to learn and the place where he's going to learn it. But I am asking that rather than just, so I want to do software engineering, I want to do coding, send me to a place where they develop software where I can learn coding and all that. No. What are the current pressing national problems? We have insecurity as a major problem in the country. Insecurity, the solution to insecurity in the country is an engineering problem. GPS and all that. They say somebody has been kidnapped, and then the police will tell you they cannot trace where this person is. But we have technology that can triangulate and trace locations to very close proximity, So what are the national problems? Our sewers arrangement should be in line of national problems. The other thing I want to propose here is a co-design of capstone problems. Capstone problems being the final projects of students, what they want to work on. It has to be about real needs. I was well guided when I did my master's by my supervisor, Professor Oluleye, to work on a techno-analysis of renewable energy. It was very interesting for me because when I was done, most of what I studied, I have used them in the industry, and particularly in my own home. In fact, my children, I can say that my children, I've never heard any of my children say, "Hey, up NEPA," when they bring light. Because for over 14 years, I have had solar inverter system in my house. And this is because of the knowledge I had. Now, when I was going to install this thing, the guy I contacted says 12 batteries, 24 panels. And this thing was running into several millions. I said, what's going on here? So I got my pen and paper, did my analysis myself. And at the end of the day, I said, look, put 5 panels and put 2 batteries. And till today, 14 years after, I'm still enjoying that investment. I hardly buy fuel. In fact, my house, my satellite house, I would say, they stole my generator. I didn't know for months because I never used it. It was just there, So capstone problems should be based on real needs. You'll find that if this is done, learners would possibly leave and continue from where they stopped. If I was better informed, if I knew better then, by now I believe that I would have been franchising, that whole solar business. I would have taken it to another level and gotten franchisees, to take this thing to other places around the country. Now, the third thing is fund outcomes, establish skills passport. Now, this is very critical and very urgent. In fact, allow me to say this is very yesterday. Now, what do I mean? A skills passport in the coding software development space, there is what they call GitHub, right? So all of your codes are stored on GitHub. So all you need to do if you're seeking a job is to send your profile, to them, give access to your GitHub account, and your portfolio is appraised by the recruiter. They like your codes, they invite you in for interview, and then the rest is history. So from GitHub, you're able to see the entire profile of a person. Can we introduce something similar called Skills Passport? Now, earlier I mentioned that if we transition or transform general studies into professional foundations, and when they are done and they pass, and where the system is sure of the knowledge they have gotten, you can put a certificate of recognition, a badge or something, in that skills passport. Now, as these learners interface with industry, the industry will grade them, will assess them and grade them and feed back to the school. The school does its own assessment too and all that, and determine that, okay, this person now has this, you put it in the passport. At the end of the day, they gain their degree, it is put in the passport. So readily from that passport, a recruiter is able to see what this person has learned, what this person has done, and what this person can do. It becomes easy to recruit such people. And you're recruiting them for what you know they will do. So it's not a case of you enter the system and you are expected to deliver everything. There is a drill down, to the expectations. There are so many other things. Establish Industry 401 hubs for shared access. Convert Faculty of Technology into a regional high-tech hub. This is doable. This is possible. As everyone before me spoke, we're lauding the faculty, we're lauding the department, for the role you are playing. My challenge here today is, do not think of the department alone. Open up and let the thought process be for Nigeria. Champion the cause, because what is done here, if replicated across 3, 4, 5, 10 universities, the impact would definitely be felt in the nation. Time will not let me go into all of this because I'll be looking at the time, but I want to believe that the little I have proposed, if we take time to discuss on them and expand on them, we would make the desired change that Nigeria needs for now and for the future. If Nigeria's future fails, will it be because we lacked intelligence or because we failed to redesign our systems? Engineering is a discipline of intentional design, so we have to be intentional. We have to scale up our thought process. We have to scale up the objectives of IPEA as we have them today to be nationally focused. Nations' futures fail not from lack of intelligence, but from poor or absent architecture. Technology does not destroy work, it reallocates it. The future of work will not wait for Nigeria to catch up, but Nigeria still has the human capital to leap forward if we act together. The man my father christened me after, Sir Winston Churchill, once said, "To every man there comes a time in his lifetime, that special moment when he is figuratively tapped on the shoulder and offered the chance to do a very special thing, unique to him and fitted for his talents." Sir Winston Churchill. Today, my dear sirs and ma'ams, I have figuratively, as it were, tapped you on the shoulder. Can we together do something very special for Nigeria, for the University of Ibadan, and for our future learners? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Engineer Ofugara, for this thought-provoking lecture. I want to appeal to our audience. I know we've overshot the time, but this is really a thought-provoking lecture, and you have touched on so many things that Some have been discussed in past lectures, but I can assure you that we are also doing our best to look at how some of these things can be readdressed going forward. I'll quickly call on the chairman to give his quick remarks about the lecture. Please, if you have questions, you can also put it in the chat box, and you can also raise your hand so that Engineer Fugara will be able to respond to them quickly. So over to our chairman, Engineer Olutosin Ogumala, FNSC, sir. Your quick remarks,
All
sir.
right, thank you very much, sir. And let me also indeed appreciate our guest speaker for a lecture that I will call, or I would term, being all-encompassing, right? So, and I mean, it's just beyond being thought-provoking. It has indeed touched, on several aspects, of the topic. And of course, in order to keep within our time, I would like to just summarize my takeaway from the lecture, being that the work of the future is at the intersection of technical depth, then opportunity matching skills, adaptability, systems integration, ability to convert knowledge to value, industry immersion, and then commercialization. So for our engineering graduates, engineering students at all levels, maybe not just undergraduates now, but even students up to PhD level, they will be able to, prepare themselves, for the this very the intersection of the very topical issues that are actually categorized earlier. And now I think the next is for us to now look at the challenges ahead of each and every one of us. Just like it had been said before now, that it will not just be this should not just be yet another lecture, but one that should actually leave us in action. So this is calling for schools, the academia to rise up to the challenge of reinventing the framework of education, such that it widens the bridge between the academia and the industry, and then such that work will more or less start from school. And then the transition becomes so, and one key idea that I actually found quite instructive is the concept of the employer partners. So the idea of employer partners for the ivory tower becomes really cogent, right? And going beyond what the schools will now have to do, then the alumni network now must also be ready to become very central, as ready facilitators to solidify this framework. And then for those of us at the end of professional and regulatory bodies, I can give assurances that efforts, will be deepened, to advance enabling policy fronts that link the studies of today, with the needs of tomorrow. And let me round up with this, just like the guest speaker has said, that he's now tapping, us on the shoulders. I think we will also have to, turn it around and also tap him, on the shoulder. And of course, not just him now, using him as a point of contact to the entirety of the alumni network. I will want to propose something that could possibly start from this lecture and could also be taken back to the previous lecture, such that we begin to build teams around the proposed action frameworks. So maybe we could begin from this to say, okay, we have the 41st lecture, what's it called now, action team, that will involve, the guest speaker, maybe one or two masters, maybe MEM students of the department. We can just build a team of 5 around, and then so as the lectures grow, then we also begin to have the action teams to sit on those proposals and ensure that we must do it in a way that we will not have overlapping personalities in different fields, you know, unique teams to the unique lectures to sit on those, you know, action framework, and then we can begin to turn them. So this will not just be something we want to dump, or it will just be on the YouTube channel for us to go back to, but we must move it, you know, from the lecture to actions, and then we can begin to, you know, have those results. So once again, I want to say big kudos, you know, to our guest speaker, and I look forward to us actually translating, you know, these very well thought out ideas into actionable steps that will yield results, you know, in the near future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, Mr. Chairman, for that, your thoughts. And I can guarantee you that the Department of Industrial and Production Engineering and all these alumni are action people. And I'm sure in a couple of months, you begin to see actions taken in this regard. For our time's sake, please, I want to quickly bring up our own emeritus professor, Osi Awo, to also give his remark, please. Professor.
Well, thank you very much. We've had a very exciting lecture, so I wouldn't. The point has been made that we hope that we'll be able to implement some of these things. So I'll just probably leave it there. We had a rehearsal on Wednesday, and we had to end at about 8:30. And it's getting to 9 o'clock. So I just leave it there. I congratulate the lecturer for a fantastic job, and I trust that the department will take this further. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Engineer Professor B.I.O. Dancy, please your quick remarks too.
Well, I think I'll just follow in the footstep of our great mentor and respected emeritus professor by congratulating the lecturer for a well-researched lecture, and also to encourage the department to ensure that this is not just a JoJo session. It will be a section in which, you know, most of the key points are, you know, acted upon. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll just quickly take one question. I can see only one hand raised. Engineer Anthony Asonye, please kindly unmute and quickly ask your question or give your remark before we move to the vote of thanks. Please, we also have some special announcement to make. Please kindly bear with us. Yes. The HOD will make such the comments shortly. Thank you.
I want to stand on the existing protocol because of our time. But however, I want to thank Professor Ogogwa Awo and Engineer Victor Oladekon for their contributions, Professor Dahunsi, and the presenter of this, you know, eminent paper, Engineer Winston of Fogara. I will say that Engineer Wilson of Fogara's paper is a provoking one. Why would I say it is a provoking one? Yes, I would say it's a provoking one because right now, like he rightly pointed out, Nigeria is at a crossroad in the area of domestication of technology that we need. And from his paper, I agree that we need to develop the skills that will make us to match up with what is happening now so that we do not be cut off. He has mentioned the area of AI. He mentioned the area of automation, digital manufacturing. He mentioned, you know, these are very important areas. But I want to make some suggestion that will actually transform us, because I'm a practical person. I'm engineer Nana Anthony Eberechukwu Asonye. I'm a chemical engineer who has diversed to environmental engineering and into construction. So what I want to say is that Nigeria has the brain, but the system is not allowing the practical application. And most of these areas are the automation area, the digital area. In fact, I witnessed a lecture on digitization. We need something in those areas, digitalization of our knowledge, digitization. That is a focus on data, how to transform data. These days, we are not making use of paper. Everything is being transformed into computer system. So I believe that the focus should be on the data conversion, the process, and making our people feel the impact of practicals. I don't know if you are hearing me, whether anybody is hearing me. Please, I want to
Yes, we are hearing you, sir.
assess.
Just quickly round up, sir. We are hearing you.
Okay. So when you have our people that are trained in the university and they are given a job and they say they did not have enough practical knowledge, it is not interesting. Because when you have entered the university and you graduate and you come out and Korean have recognized you, you should be an expert. So I would want to recommend that in our institutions, there should be practical workshop laboratories that, as theory is being taught, practical in those areas should be taught. That is how I learned outside the country. I studied both in France and both in the Nigerian university. And today, I am the CEO of Hamatronics Engineering Industries Limited. And I am also working on areas of safety in some other company. But what I'm saying in effect is that one of our greatest challenge is the area of energy and those skills that Professor Ofugara had mentioned. If we are able to have the required power, the power that we are getting from solar energy is not sufficient. If Nigeria want to be technology to take themselves into the next rank, I'm recommending we look at the nuclear energy. I'm rounding up, sir. I'm rounding
Please round up, round up. Thank you.
Yes, I commend the and I want us to follow it, in the process and the technological aspects so that our people will get the impact, not just coming out to work for companies.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
I think the thought is noted.
Much.
I appreciate it, sir. Thank you. All right. I want to call on the HOD, Professor Victor Oladokun, to quickly make some announcements before I bring up the guest speaker to make his closing remarks, please.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Briefly, I want to tell us that this 42nd edition will be coming up on Friday, March 13, 2026. And our guest lecturer is Dr. Paul Adedeji, another alumnus of our department. He's an energy expert, energy specialist, working with University of Johannesburg, South Africa. And we'll be discussing building a sustainable future at state and municipal level, strategy, energy planning for just energy transition. So I want us to make it a date next month, by the grace of God, to come and listen to another thought-provoking lecture. And I'm also using this opportunity to announce that one of our fathers in the department, a mentor and teacher, Professor Ayodeji Oluleye, retiring this year and in September. And We are going to celebrate him. He has produced many of us. He taught all of us from undergraduate to PhD level, and we are very proud of him. And come September 18, we are going to hold 78th birthday celebration, and also do a valedictory lecture celebration in his honor. We are going to launch a book of reading in his honor, and we are going to, by the grace of God, commission a state-of-the-art learning space in his name. So I want you to put this in mind, all of us who are academics, when we announce for contribution to the books, you can submit your work. It will be a world-class book contribution. Then all the alumni, we are gearing up to make it a beautiful celebration and honor for our teacher. So thank you again. God bless you.
Thank you so much, sir. Once again, Engineer Fugara, thank you so much for your thought-provoking lecture tonight. I want to call on you now to give your closing remark in a minute, sir. Engineer Fugara, please. Engineer Anna, please. It seems as if Engineer Fugara is having network issue. Is it my end? Okay, if he's able to join back, connect back, he will have the opportunity to give his remarks. Okay, so I can see a lot of fathers in the house here tonight. Okay, Engineer Fugara, can you give your closing remark
Yes.
now? Okay, please go ahead, sir.
Thank you so much. I want to sincerely appreciate everyone, from Professor Oladokun to the guests, a special guest of honor, the chairman, the moderator, and all of you that participated in this lecture today. I am indeed very, very grateful for your time, for having me. And as I have discussed with Professor Oladokun, this is not a one-off for me. I am here. The department made me, so we will definitely put in our time, talent, and treasures, to continue the good work that is happening at the department. Some of us may not know it. I was in awe when I visited in December of last year. I was impressed, at what I saw. And there is only one way to show that level of impression, by contributing to the system. So I've told him I would build a website for IPR for what we're doing now. So as we are uploading all of these lecture series on YouTube, that YouTube will also be linked to the website. The announcements of future lectures and any future announcements we have can be on the website. We need to have a website that people can find us and learn what is happening, and we'll try to make it as interactive as possible. That will be one of the first things I will do. On top of that one, I'm still reviewing the list of needs that was sent to me. I would get back with Prof, and we'll prioritize what is important, and I'll definitely make a contributions. Thank you, everyone. On a final note, I want to say the future is not something we enter. It is either we create it or somebody else will create it for us. A platform is set, to do very wonderful things in Nigeria. Through this platform, I believe that we can influence both NSC and Koren. These places have been operating status quo. We need to make some changes. With what Professor Oladokun is doing, we have the reach and we can make things happen. I am willing to lend my time and my skills and my reach and whatever it takes for us to create the future that we all desire. Thank you once again.
So much, sir. Really appreciate that closing remark. I want to thank everyone that participated tonight. We cannot mention your name, but I'll leave that to our own Dr. A.D. Adeyeye to quickly do the vote of thanks. And once again, we apologize for shooting the time. Dr. Adeyeye, please, for the vote of thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The chairman of this occasion, I didn't put the video on because there's outage here, but I can speak now. I hope you are hearing me.
All right, sir. Can you go ahead,
Okay.
sir?
Okay, all right. So it's a great honor for me to give vote of thanks. I am very, very excited about this topic. The chairman of this occasion, our distinguished and special guest of honor, our highly respected guest of honor, our gracious host, and our eminent speaker, Engineer Winston Enna Ofugara. It is both a honor and a privilege to stand before you to deliver this vote of thanks following such a thought-provoking and forward-looking lecture titled The Future of Work in Nigeria, Preparing the Next Generation of Engineers for an Era in Perpetual Flux. First and foremost, we express our profound gratitude to our distinguished speaker, Engineer Winston Ofugara, for an illuminating presentation. We have not only challenged our thinking, but also expanded our vision of what engineering education and professional practice must become in a rapidly evolving technological and economic landscape. Your insight into adaptability, innovation, and digital transformation has actually prepared us, and we are now better informed and prepared for the responsibility that lie ahead. Our sincere appreciation goes to the chairman of this occasion, Engineer Olutosin Ogunmola, for your contribution, the goodwill messages, your insightful speech that you have given at this occasion. We are deeply honored by the presence of our special guest of honor, Professor Awo, whose continued support for academic excellence and national development remains a source of inspiration. And we also appreciate your love for this department and our alumni program. We also extend our warm appreciation to our guest of honor, Professor B.I.O. Downsi, for gracing this occasion and for your commitment to advancing engineering. On behalf of the department, we express our appreciation to everybody. Our gratitude to the host, Professor Fiyo Oladokun, the head of department, for making this occasion a success and creating the enabling environment. We also, though we may not be able to mention names, but we saw that in attendance we have Professor Ekaola in our midst. Thank you, sir, for creating time to attend this lecture. We saw some of the our alumni key people like Afolabi Babarisa and the first governor of our master's program in engineering management, Engineer Oladipo Smith, and other colleagues that are here. We are very grateful for creating time to be here. And our elders in the department, Professor Oluleye, Professor Akanbi, we are very, very grateful. This program has been very successful because of the effort of the engagement team, and we sincerely appreciate your efforts. We especially appreciate all your activities and efforts in planning and the seamless coordination of this event. Could also, Professor Fadare was also here. He has always been present. Some of our colleagues in the department, Dr. Kolawole Moji, Bolarinwa, and Dr. Muiwa, we appreciate your time. We appreciate everybody. We cannot mention all the alumni, all the people within and outside Nigeria who have participated in this program. On behalf of the organizers, I say very big thank you to everyone. God bless you all.
Thank you, sir,
Thank you.
for the vote of thanks. Thank you so much, everyone. With that, we come to the end of the 41st IPA Alumni Lecture, The Future of Work in Nigeria, Preparing the Next Generation of Engineers for an Era in Perpetual Flux. I want to say thank you, dear audience, participants. Thank you for making out time for this lecture. We hope to see you at the next one, which is the 42nd Alumni Lecture. And on behalf of the engagement team, I want to wish you happy Valentine's Day. Let's spread the love all over Nigeria. Thank you and God bless you. See you at the 42nd IPA lecture series. God bless. Good
Thank
night.
you. Yeah.
Good night. Ọpẹ́ o, látàárọ̀.
Yes, good night.
Okay, Udaro.
First time. I don't know.
Ọpẹ́ o, látàárọ̀.
I'm